The story slightly annoyed me, so I'm going to do this story. Tell me who said this. Part of the reason why I don't take PAC money is I don't want to take federal lobbyists' money because we've got to get the national interests up front as opposed to the special interests. Who said that? Now, you may initially think Warren said that, but it wasn't Warren that said that. It was Barack Obama that said that. He said that in a debate. Here he is saying it. I don't want you to just trust me. Okay, Obama, do your thing.
The national interests up front as opposed to the special interests.
Come on. Stupid Twitter.
Part of the reason I don't take PAC money, I don't take federal lobbyist money, is because we've got to get the national interests up front as opposed to the special interests.
Like I said, you would have probably thought Warren said that. Not so much. And you saw how the Obama thing turned out, hope and change and all that good stuff, including the not taking PAC money. Didn't stop him from essentially throwing his body to protect the banks while letting the homeowners go bust. Didn't stop him from doing that in the lease. The culinary union in Nevada is having trouble with the organization to which they work for. And they've been trying to unionize other areas. And the hotel has been pushing back on their unionization efforts. All of the candidates, or multiple candidates in the race, expressed support for that union. A few candidates, nevertheless, crossed the line, being scabs in this process. Elizabeth Warren, Marianne Williamson. Warren expressed support, by the way, for what that particular organization was trying to do, that union was trying to do, meaning unionize the other properties, and yet cross the picket line. I'm not even weighed heavily on those 2 points. Bernie Sanders in 2016 created a space. It was a space in the political field that we didn't even believe existed because for the longest time, the Democratic Party has said, there is no space to the left of us. We are as far as you can go. Otherwise, you're just going to lose. Nobody's going to vote for you. Nobody's going to come out to the polls. Oh my God, feel the burn. They lied. They lied magnificently. There are all sorts of people who are out here who are attentive to that particular message. It seems that the new dealers haven't gone anywhere. They're still there. They just didn't have anybody to give them anything to get out of bed for. Now Bernie Sanders is running in 2020. He's opened that space, and now he is in that space, and he's trying to win the race within the context of that space on the left. Warren is also in this race. But again, Sanders was the one that opened up this particular space. So you would think an organization that called themselves Workers' Family Party will, look out for the best interests of workers and families. That is clearly from the perspective of the platforms that the candidates are pushing, just based on policy alone, easily Sanders. And yet, the Workers' Family Party chose Warren. They chose Warren. I have to be honest, I wish it was a bigger person, but this did annoy me. Workers' Families Party in 2016 chose Sanders. It chose Sanders to a tune of 87%. They also showed the breakdown of the vote totals in 2016, where you could see how many members or what the membership total was and what the leadership total was. But in this one, they say Warren won by 60% in the first round. And in winning by 60%, the people just said, okay, well, what are the tallies? I mean, what is the members and what is the leaders? We can't show you that. Why can't you show us that? It's a secret ballot. Wait a minute, that secret ballot didn't stop you from showing us that tally in 2016. They have been lying about why they couldn't show the tally. And I want to get into why they're lying about it. And I think you'd find this interesting. So, welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content and you find yourself coming back here often, please like this video, share this video, and subscribe. This channel is growing. Also, if you really dig it, please consider supporting through PayPal or Patreon. I'm not going to keep this video long because there's not much on this particular video, but I did want to discuss why the Workers' Family Party has taken the tack that they've taken on this and why they've gone on the airwaves and lied in regards to their reasoning for not being able to show the vote total. My annoyance with this came more so because Warren got media attention off of this. Oh my God, the Workers' Family Party chose Warren over Sanders, and last time they chose Sanders by 87%. Now, here's the catch. What were the vote totals? Weigel comes out. Workers' Family Party endorsement of Warren is, not surprisingly, irritating some Sanders supporters. Warren's 60% win combined two totals, a vote by the WFP leadership and an online members vote. Each of those counted for 50% of the total, but the WFP won't release the separate tallies. Now, we shouldn't be too surprised by this. I mean, after all, these guys chose Crowley against AOC and chose Cuomo against Nixon. So don't be too surprised. But look at what Weigel says at the end. Each of this counted for 50% of the total, but WFP won't release the separate tallies. Weigel was curious enough to ask, what about the tallies? He knew, and he asked that in. That's important. FWIW in 2015, WFP released the results of the online membership survey, 87% for Sanders. Meaning Weigel asked for information, didn't get that information, gets a bogus excuse, and shows in the very next tweet why that excuse is bogus. Essentially, they are lying. They show the exact same results in 2015 on the secret ballot. No secrecy was disturbed. Here's another one. I talked to the WFP's national director, Maurice Mitchell, earlier, and he made it clear that the group won't release separate vote totals for there to be a true vote and to maintain the nature of secret ballot, all that went into the back end. He's lying. That has nothing to do with the secret ballot. And they released these totals in 2015. There was no issue releasing them in 2015, but all of a sudden, there's an issue releasing them this time around. Why is there an issue releasing them this time around, right? That's an interesting question. I mean, because that's somewhat of an obvious, might say omission or obvious difference between 2015 to now. Everything else was the same. The only difference is the outcome of the vote total. And you won't show us a breakdown. Here's the catch. Elizabeth Warren is said to have won by 60%. All right. Members have a 50% weight. And not just members have a 50%, leaders have a 50% rate. The WFP, and this is Matt Brewing, the WFP endorsement process works by tallying up party member votes and party leader votes. The member votes are given 50% of the vote weight, while the leader votes are given 50% of the vote weight. To win the endorsement, you have to get the majority of both. Now, the point that people are making is that the reason you won't give us the breakdown in the vote tally is because there is a skew between the members and between the leadership. Meaning, if you had a situation, which I strongly suggest is most likely the case, where members ends up voting overwhelmingly for Sanders or ends up voting in excess of Sanders, and the leadership votes for Warren, well, that looks a little dicey, right? It looks like the leadership is essentially skewing the vote total because they're getting a 50% weight on their vote. And from the standpoint of the public itself, it's nice to know that the members, just regular people, went to Sanders. Now, the case for the WFP and the issue for WFP is that the last thing they want to show is that leadership went along the lines of the Democratic Party. Again, these are the guys that went for Cuomo. These are the guys that went for Crowley over AOC. And now you have a situation where it's very possible that the members wanted Sanders, but the leadership wanted the establishment Democrat Warren. Fascinating. Here's the catch. The WFP is looking at this and saying, we want to be a united front. Meaning, the first time around, it was very clear that it was Sanders by a tune of 87%. So there was no issue in showing the vote total breakdown because both vote total breakdowns went for Sanders. No conflict. The moment that you have a conflict between members and leaders, if you show that conflict, you are not a united front anymore, meaning it's not the WFP anymore as a united organization. So in order to maintain the integrity of the WFP from the standpoint of what the leadership wants versus what the membership wants, you just scrub the results. You just don't show. We're not going to show you. And you come up with a comical lie that even Weigel himself, who's on the job, pointed out was a lie in one tweet. WFP released results of the online membership survey, 87% Sanders. They did it in 2015. This notion that you can't give the results is a lie. And again, I put to you that what most likely happened is that there is a skew in the results. The members most likely went for Sanders. The leadership most likely went for Warren. And they don't want to show, and I would imagine a certain degree of embarrassment to the organization, showing that the leadership was more establishment and the membership was less so. WFP, Workers' Families Party, losing credibility, all in one vote. Matt Brewing started to try to do a little bit of math to figure out what might have happened in regards to the vote total. So right here, they won't release the results of the vote because they don't want to release it. If they wanted to release it, they would, as they have in the past. But why wouldn't they want to release it? You hate to speculate about such things, but the only answer is because the members went for Sanders while the leadership went for Warren, and the organization is embarrassed to reveal the degree to which the leadership overruled the membership. Keep in mind, it was weighted. You might have had more members than leaders, but it was weighted. You might have had a situation where the membership overwhelmingly went to Sanders, but because of the leadership's weight on the vote, that they essentially pulled it to Warren. Can you imagine that? If membership went overwhelmingly to Sanders, and yet the leadership vote was enough to essentially pull it to Warren despite members going for Sanders. Let's keep going. How stark was the split? We don't know for sure, and we don't know until they release the information, but the figures they have released allow us to do some math. We know that 80% of the members voted for Warren or Sanders, and 60.9% of the weighted vote went to Warren on the first ballot. If this is true, then the following graph shows the percent of the WFP leaders had to vote for Warren to achieve the outcome. So he gives this graph. Essentially, if 20% of the members support Warren, then you would require 100% of the leaders to swing the vote to be the total that it is. Meaning, as you go down this line, you can get the number of membership support. So you might have a situation where you have 80% member support for Warren, in which case you would only need 50% of the leadership. But suppose for the moment you only had, let's say, 30% support for Warren, or 40%. I guess his point is he's trying to get across this notion of what might be the vote tally of Warren support versus Sanders support in order to get the leadership, in order to get the number that we got for the total. Again, there's no way to know because, they don't necessarily give us the information. If you believe, as is obvious, that the reason WFP won't release the membership vote total at this time is because Warren did not win the membership vote, then this means that Warren got anywhere from 22 to 40% of the member vote. This further means that 82 to 100% of the WFP leadership voted for Warren. This is the stark split they don't want to reveal, but nevertheless are very incompetently hiding. Let me repeat that. If you believe, as is obvious, that the reason WFP won't release a membership vote total this time is because Warren did not win the membership vote. This means that Warren got anywhere from 22% to 40% of the membership vote. Based on the numbers that they've given us, this is the maximum that she's gotten, 22% to 40% of the membership vote. And again, that's assuming that the reason they won't release this information is because the membership split. This further means that 82 to 100% of the WFP leadership voted for Warren. Again, they don't want us to know that. If Sanders indeed got the membership vote, it would mean that 82 to 100% of the leadership voted for Warren. Can you imagine seeing that number? Sanders with something like 60 or 70%, with the leadership voting 82% to Warren. And I don't know how many members in leadership, but you're not going to have as many members in leadership as you do in the membership. It's almost like super delegates at that point. They, by the choices that they make within the context of that vote, is pulling the weight in a particular direction, despite what the membership wants. They really need to release these vote totals if they're going to have any level of transparency in this process. Even if it embarrasses the leadership, these vote totals should be released. I'll leave it here. I don't want this one to go long. I mean, ultimately, the Workers' Families Party clowns themselves in this particular vote. Like, share, subscribe.